Hi everyone. So we'll wait a bit till our live followers get on board with us. Hi everyone. Okay, we'll wait a bit more till a couple of more followers come on board. Hi, how's it going? Hope the lockdown is treating you well. Hi. I hope today's session will be useful to keep you more occupied and productive. Hi everyone. So I think we have got a couple of followers on the live session, and since it's 6:30, I will start off with the session. First of all, let me just give you a brief introduction about myself. I'm Amilani. I'm a fashion designer. But what I'm really trying to do with my brand, my self-titled brand, is that I want to use fashion as a platform to give more social well-being, use it as more of a tool for being a voice to the voiceless and to the needy. Well, since today, so I'm here at my home studio. As you know, we are all under lockdown in Sri Lanka. So what I'm really trying to do today is that something which is very close to me since I was a little girl. I always like manipulating things, and that's what came to the whole idea of me becoming a fashion designer. I was a painter, and then I became a designer later on. So so today what I'm trying to do is something which we always have in at home, something which we can do, something fun while we're staying at home, but something different which we can play around with things as like a basic spool of thread. If you have anything from an old top which you don't like, or like for an embellishments, you can just rip it out and create some textures. How to create textures on garments, on fabrics. It can be on a napkin or a cushion cover. It doesn't have to be something which you wear as a body ornament itself. So okay, so cutting things short, so I did couple of things, then you can get an idea of what I'm trying to do today. As you can see, it's something like a fringe effect which I'm planning to do. So basically it's an embroidery technique. In fashion there are two ways of doing embroidery work. First one is something which you do ornamentation on the fabric itself, which most of the time we do this on fluid fabrics like this, soft wave fabric like chiffons or organdy. You can even do it on denims and heavyweight materials like denim as well, but this is more ideal for embellishments right on the material itself. And there's another way of doing embroidery, is the applique way, where you do the embroidery in a different a piece of fabric, or it can be paper, it can be dissolving paper, anything, and then you stitch it onto the garment. That's the second way of doing embroidery and surface, aka surface decoration. So let me just start on with this first. Then if you have any questions, just, let them keep coming, right? So what I'm planning to do is I want to teach you how to create this whimsical sort of this flower decoration over here. It's very, very simple, but it gives a lot of depth and a very textured, an arty feel to the garment or the product, whatever you feel to do during this amazing lockdown we are in. So as you can see, you get a spool of thread, anything. It can be the tiny thread spool you have at home as well. So you just take your fingers and you basically swirl it around your 4 fingers. Just swirl it. Yeah. And here we go. I'm so happy that I have my studio space at home. Otherwise, I don't know how I would have done this, and I would have gone nuts with my little one running around as well. So yes, so this is actually something which I'm planning to do with my next workshop session with the survivors at Candy. As you know that I'm doing some workshops with abuse survivors, little girls and women. So because their livelihood, we need to empower them after they move out of the shelter when they turn 18. It's really tragic situation at the shelters, because there are these innocent girls, such as 10, 12-year-old girls who are pregnant by their own father, and these are just really, really it's a really, really terrible situation out there, especially during the lockdown. So it's always good to keep your eyes open. You never know what's happening closed doors. So this is actually, I'm trying to take this platform to enlighten you in that area as well, because the world is not what we think as is, and especially during lockdown, we need to take care of these women. So going back to our creative work, so turn your thread spool around this much, more the merrier, it'll get fluffier. So you go, cut it. What you're gonna do is just take it out like that, right? You get some thread. First of all, just leave it, and we'll just always do 2 stitches at the end of the stem. Don't put a knot, because the knots tend to come out after some time. So just do 2 to 3 stitches at one joint, and then you keep the threads together near this thread area, and then we would just take it out. Okay, I think. And then you take it in like that. So can you see that? Yeah. So another one like that to keep it very firm and steady. Right. Okay, and then what you're gonna do is You just have probably a great way to fold it. Yes, certainly it is. Gonna cut the edges of the flower, and voila, you just created a tiny fringe. It's a flower. Then what you're gonna do is you hold it nicely and you're gonna stitch it down from the edge. Just like that. Okay, this is like a perk of being a mother. As you can see, it's my son's baby hairbrush. So if you have something like this, you can even use like a toothbrush or something just to comb it a bit so that the threads will be nice and soft. And you can just, so what I do is that I don't like to use embellishments as is. I always like to play with texture and create something new out of it. So if you can see, like this is just a matte sequin. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fold it into two, so it automatically creates this nice 3D effect. And I'm gonna add that in the corners. You don't have to do this. You can always be creative. It can be one of your old pair of earrings. Just break it into, you know, like ornamental earrings. You can really use those things, the edges, and it will be quite whimsical as well to use these ones. And then just play with them. And here we go. So I really hope I can do this session with the survivors as well, because they have been waiting for a session, and lockdown period is not a very good period for them, unlike us. There are so many things which we need to be thankful, I feel. Thank you very much. So I bend it again, the sequin. You can always use anything. I love using my old, you know, those teenage earrings we used to wear, those plastic earrings where they have really cute ornamental things like ladybirds and things like that. I can actually show you. I have one of those pieces with me at the moment where I broke one of my ornamental chains, and it had like little tiny ladybirds on it, and I use them as a fashion ornamentation as well. I love using them. So gonna use some pearls as well. This is very optional. You can use whatever you like, and this will be really great for an edging. So what I'm planning to do with this particular design is that I'm gonna that's why the fabric is like all loosened and hanging, because I'm gonna use this on a garment straight away. So what I'm planning to do is like I love playing with fabrics and using them in very unexpected way. So what I'm planning to do with this is that I want to create like a organdy bomber jacket. So it has this whole fluidity with like a ballerina sort of a feel, but it's actually like very grunge. The silhouette is very grunge and very 90s sort of a vibe I want to give from the jacket. So yeah, and it's also like, you know, just playing with thread, and I'm planning to have this at the back of the back panel of the jacket. So you can basically work with anything you like, and that's the fun part about, you know, that's what I basically love about fashion. There are no rules in it. I mean, the trends are there, but it's always all right to break rules and trends, and the more versatile you are, more unique you are, you would stand out in the fashion world. So that's what I love about it. And it's a great platform to help the less fortunate, and it's amazing how I missed out one thread. And when you have some time, I think you should go to the UNFPA Sri Lanka page on Instagram or their website. You will be able to see like the help centers and things like that. When I started my partnership with UNFPA only, I managed to gain access to these shelters because these girls' privacy matters a lot. And then only like this world of horror, actually it's horrific, it's really tragic how these girls have been abused. Some have been abused by their own father, molested by their own grandfather. So these are things which we don't even believe in our day-to-day life. So if you have anybody, if you have in any sort of way to help these girls out, to empower them, it can be anything, because in the shelters they'll teach them how to cook, how to run a bakery business, things like that. So that's quite something which they love and something which they will always be fascinated about. Even if they are not a fan of it, they know what's out there, what options are there, because their lifestyle, their upbringing, everything has been different. So it's very tragic to see these girls, because most of these girls, they want to go back to their family members, and they don't believe in what their fathers or grandfathers, what they have done is something wrong. So, and they are the legal guardians of them. So it's pretty tragic. So if you can lend a hand, that would be great to help these girls. So we are almost done with the flower. Here we go. I just added beads onto it. So what we're going to do is we are going to finish it up. This is how you finish, okay? You just put 2 stitches the same way you started, or maybe 3, just to keep it secure, and you'll be good to go. So this is something which you can do at home. You don't basically need so let me just brush it up again since I have no use of this anymore. My son is a toddler now, no longer a baby face, he's gone. So I'm just gonna trim it off so it'll look a bit more nice and tidy. And this piece is good to go on the bomber jacket. So what I'm planning to do is that I'm gonna place the pattern onto it, and this is gonna be at the center of the panel, and then I will cut the back panel onto it. So once you wear the bomber jacket, the beauty stands at the back. It's kind of like a surprise effect which I want to give from the jacket. So as you can see, I want to show you the folded sequin. That's my favorite part. So you can see like a folded sequin, and these are all chain stitches it's really very, very basic stitching. I just drew onto it, and you can use like a basic pencil and draw. Just be creative. What I would love is that I love freehand movement. Since I was a painter, I love freehand movement. So I just keep drawing, and I just love abstract, whimsical sort of artwork. So I just keep drawing these lines and then just keep stitching. So if you want me to show you a bit of chain stitching also, I can do, but let me know, do you want me to show some chain stitching? I can show you some of the let me just show you, so that if there's anybody who wants a little bit of direction on the chain stitching. So it's basically you stitch it like that, and you pin the needle and you take the thread around the needle and you pull it out. So this is a very, like, I know this reminds you of your grandmother maybe, but the fun part of it is that you can really make it your own thing. You don't have to do flowers. You can do I don't know, like it can be ladybirds, it can be ants, it can be the most unexpected version of an embroidery. You can this is completely up to you, but you can even, you know, be very vocal about your embroidery work. What I love about chain stitching is that you can always do anything you like. You can fill it up like this, you can do one lines like that, like the stems you get. You can even do your own protesting of, you know, little memes that you believe in. You can always embroider that. So love chain stitching in that way. So as you can see, it just keeps growing. So you add the needle, you twist the thread around the needle, hope you can see, like that, and you just pull it out, and voila, the chain stitch comes back. Yeah, thank you very much. So what are the questions you have? Let me know. Anything, it can be about anything you like to know about fashion, how to get into fashion, about my personal journey, anything. I would like to answer whatever you have you want to know. Also, just shoot the questions while I work on the chain stitch. So hey, hi, thanks for joining in the live session. Right, so Tams H is saying you were talking about making trends your own. What is your favorite fashion trend and one that has inspired you? Okay, I will tell you this. During while I was a student, I studied fashion in LaSalle in Singapore, which gave me so much of exposure, to be really frank, because it was like the early stage of fashion booming in Sri Lanka. So the biggest trend in Singapore that time was the deconstruction and reconstruction movement in fashion. And there's a Belgian designer called Martin Mangela, who is really amazing designer, who makes handbags out of old ballet shoes, throwaway ballet shoes, you name it, he has done it in every sort of way. And that was like a huge trend in Singapore as when I was a design student, which I took as my own. And I have been deconstructing so many garments ever since. I actually even won like a award in Singapore. That was my first year. The award was again because the trend was so huge. Back in the day, they wanted us to deconstruct a pair of jeans to a wearable, completely different garment. So I chose, and we needed to represent our identity. So I chose Ayanna in the Sinhala Hodia, the first letter of the Sinhala alphabet, and it's which happens to be the first letter of my name as well. So that I was inspired by that, and that's how I started the whole deconstruction movement, and I became one of the top 10 winners, which was really amazing. And I took on that path ever since, and I really love that trend, and I've been following that ever since, and I made it something on my own, and which got recognized as well. So yeah, so that's a pretty amazing trend, which is very environmental friendly as well at the same time, I feel. Yeah, for those who are interested in joining the industry, could you let them know how to start and continue the process? So this is the thing about fashion. There's this perception, this is a question which I get asked a lot, even on my DMs and Instagram. What I feel is that it's always good to have a basic knowledge in fashion, so that you understand the construction of the garment, because before you design, and there are amazing designers like JPG, John Fogerty, who has no background in fashion studies, but yet he got inspired by his grandmother's atelier, because he had been growing up in the atelier and he had seen the craftsmanship. He knew how to do a pattern, how to do garment stitching. It's some sort of way of knowing the technical knowledge. That aspect is needed. So if you don't have that knowledge at this very moment, and you are still excited and keen on learning about fashion and launching your own brand or work for some place even, I think it's always good to follow a course, so that you will get more hang of the idea and the feel and the industry. And it's not just like the pretty picture you see on photo shoots or the runway or the amazing Instagram posts. There's so much of blood, sweat and tears go behind each garment, each collection. So there's a lot of work, not very fancy, but you have to be very determined about your end goal to go and become that star. So what I advise you is, it's always good to start with a course, and then you can see where you want to lead. Some would prefer to, I remember like I had some of my colleagues are working at Singapore L magazine. They wanted to become a fashion journalist. She wanted to become a fashion journalist, so she is at Singapore L at the moment. Then there was a girl who did fashion designing with me, and she is a fashion buyer. She's one of the biggest fashion, like she's the top fashion buyer for Zara Men in Singapore. And so there are different paths which you can take, but you just go through the fashion design course, then you can feel and you can get that atmosphere of fashion. And it doesn't have to be that. Sometimes you can see where your passion lies, whether it's a fashion buyer, whether it's a fashion designer, whether you want to become a fashion journalist. So the path kind of slowly falls in place. So that's quite interesting to do a fashion course if you are interested in joining the industry, I feel. Yes. And something else I would like to say is that always make sure that you're very passionate about it and you're very dedicated about the whole designing process. It's not as rosy as as you think and as you feel. So be ready to have really, really long nights, long days, having mind blocks and feeling down, and suddenly you get the best idea 1 o'clock in the morning, 4 hours before you have to hand out the assignment. So true story. So be prepared for these things as well. So yes, I think it's time for the live session to end. It's already 7 o'clock, and okay, there's one more question. In your opinion, how is fashion artistic expression? Very good question. Well, to begin with, I started fashion being a painter. I did drawing art for my A-levels as well, because exactly, Alexander McQueen is much more of an artist. Yes, completely agree, one of my favorites as well. So that's more of a, so it's how you take fashion in. But when you see Alexander McQueen, that is a very good point. If you see Alexander McQueen in his shows, what he does is that he showcases his creativity as an artist. He has done everything under the sun. I mean, such a shame, such a tragic situation that he's no longer with us, but he has given us rain, he has given us fire, he has given paint splash on a moving model on a motor. But as soon as you walk into an Alexander McQueen store, you will feel the business side of him. You can see the handbag, which you can carry to a cocktail, but still has the Alexander McQueen touch to it. You know it's an Alexander McQueen piece, but it's a wearable piece. So it's about being intelligent. When you become a designer, designer is an artist still. You become a fashion buyer, a business entrepreneur once you put the price tag onto it. And you have to see always, if you have to see before you design something, where is this piece going to stand? Now, for an example, this piece, I thought I'm going to make it a bomber jacket out of this. But if this piece was a wall hanging, if I'm planning to make it as a wall hanging, I would have definitely painted this piece with some emulsion, some white emulsion on it with the organdy, so it has that whole sheer and opaque feel to it, and I would do the embroidery on it. But then it becomes an art piece which can be hung on the wall. But if I want to make it an art piece, still be wearable, then I have to tweak some ideas of mine and make it more wearable. So fashion is an art, but you need to see how to work around it and how user-friendly it can be, how practical it can be to a person. Think about the climate you're working on, and think about, thank you very much. So think about the end goal of what you're creating. So I loved making all these avant-garde pieces when I was in college. We used to do all sorts of things, make dresses out of garbage bags and hand canteens on people, things like that. But that's the fun part of it. And we narrowed it down. What I did was I narrowed it down when I started my business, because at the end of the day, you need to sell the product, and your client, your consumer, need to be comfortable in the product as well, and still have that essence of the brand written in the product as well. So yeah, that's my advice. It is an artistic movement. Fashion is definitely an artistic movement, but it's how you project it. Always, before you design, while you're designing, think, where do you want this piece to hang? It's perfectly fine if you just want to keep it as an art piece and nobody needs to wear it. It's just completely for your self-satisfaction. That's completely fine. Having said that, I did a garment for Colombo Fashion Week, I think 2015. I used ceramic ornaments on dresses and real seashells on the dresses. Definitely one piece would have been heavier, more than 10 kilograms or 15 kilograms. And Design Collective managers, they really love the collection, so they wanted to have the entire collection to be retailed. And there was a client from England who came and she bought all the ceramic hanging pieces, which were so heavy. I designed it in my head. I thought I'm just gonna have it in my atelier as an artistic piece, but she bought it, and those pieces are currently in London. She flew back with these, I don't know, maximum it weighed around 25 kg, the entire lot. She bought the entire section of the ceramic embellished gowns. So having said that, it's always how the client sees you as well. So in my head, I designed them only for as an avant-garde showpiece, which I'm going to keep it in my atelier for my own self-satisfaction, that is. But it actually, I managed to sell those. So yeah, really interesting stories behind all these years, and very exciting stories as well. So that's what I'm trying to say, is that you never know who would believe in your product and how they would see the product. So in my head, I thought nobody's going to wear this, but you know, there was a person from London who loved to wear it and carry these pieces back to fly back to London with these heavy garments. Yes, so I guess hello everyone, thank you so much for joining the live session. So I think it's time for us to say goodbye on the live session. If you have any questions, bye, see you all. So if you have any questions, you can always DM Daily ARTRA or just directly DM to my account as well. If there's anything else you'd like to know about fashion and art, fashion behind art, how to become an entrepreneur, how you draw the line between business and fashion, just let me know. I'm always ready and here for you to answer. And I hope you like the session, and I'm looking forward to what you're going to come up with. So let me know, just send me across the pictures while you try these out at home safely. So I'm signing off. Stay safe. Bye.